The Front Runner Wolf Pack, the Classic and the Pro. Chances are you're either trying to figure out which one of these you want to buy, or you own the Classic and trying to figure out if you should upgrade to the Pros. Let me help you out. Camping, overlanding, off-roading, whatever it is that you're into, I'm pretty sure we can all agree that storage is essential. And nothing is better for storage than cargo boxes. And when it comes to cargo boxes, there are a ton of different options out there for you. Here, I have the beloved Front Runner Wolf Packs. Like, I'm sure these are probably one of Front Runner's highest sellers just because they're very popular with people and for very good reason. They're simple. Not a lot of frills, they're just a box, although there are a ton of different features on here that you probably don't see on the surface. They're also very affordable, they're not as expensive as some of the other boxes that are out there, and at the same time, the size of these are just perfect. They're not so big that you have to mount them to a vehicle, or they're harder to transport, but they're also not so small that you can't barely fit anything in them. I know personally for me, these have always been just the perfect size to hold a lot of the gear that I bring along. The question though is, if you don't already own one of these, which one of these should you buy? And if you own the Classic, is it worth upgrading to the Pros? Well, let's break that down. So let's start with the similarities. When Front Runner decided they were going to update the Classic Wolf Pack to the Pros that you see here now, they made sure to keep the size exactly the same. It's the same volume, you're going to get the same kind of dimensions, which is awesome because if you have been running the Classics for a long time and you want to switch over to the Pros, you don't have to rearrange your organization system. They're going to fit exactly the same. That means too that if you like to run the soft pack system inside one of these, because they're the same size, these soft packs are going to fit inside any of these boxes perfectly. They'll just slide right into the Classic. They'll also slide into the Pros just fine. And then secondly, they both have the same level of waterproofness. They're both very, very good at keeping water from getting to your contents inside. Front Runner says that their Pros are much better at water retention, but to be honest, in all the years that I've been using the Classic, never have I had any leaks or any water getting to my contents, and I've had these sitting on the top of my roof rack, driving through a thunderstorm, and I never had any issues. But outside of those two things, that's pretty much where the similarities stop. The first thing you're gonna notice is the design. They did try to carry over the heritage of the Classic into the Pros, but there are a lot of design differences. Handles, for example, on the original ones, the handles are much shorter, but on the Pros, they extended that handle all the way through so you can basically grab it anywhere you want. There's no more holes on the sides as well. Now looking at it from the side, you'll notice that the Classic and the Pros have much different faces as well. The Classic also has the original Front Runner logo on it, which the Pros do not. But when it comes to branding, they decided to put the branding on the lid of the Pros, and it's kind of this embossed, ghosted kind of effect, so it doesn't really scream out at you, which I really like. It's very subtle, whereas the Classic has no kind of branding on it at all. Now you'll also notice, while maintaining the same kind of size, the shapes of these are also somewhat different. The Classic is your standard rectangle with rounded corners, whereas the Pros is also your standard rectangle, but they have cut-in corners. Now the lids are also very different. The Classic has a lot going on, whereas the Pros, they cleaned it up a ton. It's just flat, not a lot going on, but they do give you these two areas where you can put some labeling tape so you can see exactly what box belongs to what, whereas the Classic does not have that. Now remember when I said there are features that you may not see? Well, the Pros are much better at retaining its shape and keeping your contents without deforming the box. These walls, you're not going to get a lot of bowing. These are very, very strong. The Classic, because there's not a lot of reinforcement here, you can already see this kind of bowing out. These things start to bow out because they don't have this kind of rigidity like the Pros have. Now, if you're strapping these down to a vehicle, the Classic, there's nothing here for that ratchet strap to kind of go through, and you'll notice that after years, this started to bend on me right there. The Pros have these notches right there where a ratchet strap or one of their stratchets that they sell fits perfectly in that groove, so it will really hold your box in place. But really the biggest difference between these two are the latch systems. The latch system on the Classic are these two thin latches here, which you can also upgrade to metal ones if these break, but the Pros have these much thicker latches right there. The way the lids close onto the box is also different. With the Classic, the lid goes over the actual box, whereas with the Pros, everything stays the same and the lid goes inside the box. So it doesn't go over the perimeter of it, it's actually right in the middle, and there's a ledge in there. Either or, they're both really good at keeping water out. Okay, but what do I think? Well, personally, if I'm being honest, I still love the look of the Classic one. Like, there is something about the Classic that just makes it iconic. Like, I have seen these from the very beginning when I started overlanding, and I have always loved the look of them. I mean, the ruggedness of how they look, even with all the stuff that's going on up here, even the way they look on the sides, the logo that you see there, these feel a little bit more new, a little too sleek, which is nice, and they're much more rugged. But it's just, I don't know, man, like the look of the Classic still gets me like right here. Now, the one thing that I hated about the Classic ones though are these latches. Because they're so thin, like, they've always hurt my fingers. And then when you try to push it in, like, man, it vibrates my fingers, man. Like, it's not fun. And if there's something that's kind of stuck along the lip, it's very hard to close this. Like, you really have to make sure everything's inside. If you own the Classics, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These things are also kind of flimsy. I've had a ton of these break off already, and I almost upgraded them to the metal ones, but then decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go with the Pros. The Pros, it's a dream. It's just like it closes so good, and it opens so easily without any kind of pain. Like, you just grab it, open. The lid itself is also much easier to open. Like, when you stack stuff in here, it retains its shape, and then you just kind of drop this in and it's kind of secure. And this is secure too, but sometimes when this thing is loaded up and you're trying to kind of get it in and set, it can get a little bit difficult. And then, as I mentioned before, I strap these down to the vehicles, and the Pros are just much more secure, especially if you're using their stratchets. It works really well with the system. Those straps just come through right down the middle without twisting or bending any part of the box, whereas this already has all of those markings where they got bent by the ratchet strap before. And these also have the tendency to slide around. One of these actually slipped off the 4Runner one time right onto the street as I was turning into my neighborhood, broke one of the latches, but these are so strong that it didn't even break the box. Latch broke, box stayed intact. Now you might say, okay, well, easy decision, function over form, and these function much better, so I should just get the Pros. Well, hold up a second, because as of right now, FrontRunner is in the process of phasing out the Classics. So they are currently selling the Classics for $30. The Pros run for $79.95, so you're getting more than 50% off a cargo box. So if you want to snag some Classics while they're cheap and while they still have them, grab them now. Here's my final thing. If you are buying a cargo box with the intention of strapping them down to the top of your vehicle, go with the pros, like all day. But if you're just needing a box to just throw stuff in and you're just gonna chuck it into the cargo area, or maybe you might want to build a drawer system that utilizes cargo boxes, then save yourself the money and go with the classics. 30 bucks, you can't beat that. Now I do have an honorable mention for you, and that is the highly underrated Cub Pack. Like, I love my Cub Packs, and I just don't understand why people don't gravitate to this the way they do with the Wolf Packs. But don't underestimate the usability of a Cub Pack. Yeah, they're gonna be much smaller, but because they're much smaller, they're much easier to transport. I don't even need to lock this to the top of my Jeep. They're so small that I could just throw it into the cargo area and be done. Plus, the way these things open, much simpler than the classic Wolf Packs. You just slide these little tabs here, and then this thing just comes right off. I actually used one of the divider systems in here and made myself like a mini coffee/cocktail bar kit. So all my drinking needs are here. A Cub Pack costs about $62, and that could possibly be why people gravitate to the Wolf Pack, because hey, for like $20 more, I can get a bigger one. But sometimes you don't necessarily need a bigger one. If you don't have a lot of gear, or you want to separate your gear even more, Cub Packs might do you well. So much easier to transport and very convenient. But anyway, that's it. That's my breakdown of all the cargo boxes that are currently available from FrontRunner: the Wolf Pack Classic, the Wolf Pack Pros, the Soft Pack, and the Cub Pack, all of which are available on their website. Again, those Wolf Pack Classics are currently on sale for 30 bucks. So if you want to take advantage now while supplies last. But before I go though, I do want to say this. It's kind of an apology, but kind of also what am I going to do about it type of thing. I've been promoting Patreon for some time now, and there are many of you who have signed up on Patreon and is giving to Patreon, and I'm so glad you guys are doing that. But admittedly, I have not been as active on Patreon as I thought I would be. And for that, I truly apologize, but I'm going to do something about it starting this week. These videos are going to be released on Sundays instead of Fridays now, like around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then simultaneously, those who follow me on Patreon are going to get a private link, because later that night on Sunday, I'm thinking maybe 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Central Time, I am going to do a live stream where we're going to do a discussion of the video I released earlier that day. If you want to see that live stream, then sign up on Patreon. No matter what level of membership you have, you will get a link to that live stream. So if you saw this video and you had more questions about these boxes, well, then tonight, I'm going to do my live stream discussing these boxes, and I can go into more detail. This also helps me to make sure my videos aren't too long, because we're going to continue the discussion during the live stream. So for those of you who are signed up on Patreon, this is going to be a benefit that you're going to have, where you can watch this live stream every Sunday night, and I want to make sure that I'm there for that to answer any questions that you guys might have. Either way, if you like this video, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and also consider supporting us on Patreon so we can continue to make more content like this. And as always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Baptism Overland. My name is Asia Sampson, and I will see you next time. Wait, this wasn't on? Damn it. Oh, I'm not doing this video again.